What happens if you don't consciously continue to grow? What happens if you don't quit, if you don't give up, if you don't die, and you push yourself? You're going to grow, and you go on the journey of growth. And then what it is, it's a call. It's always a call. And if the quicker you take the call, the quicker the pain goes away. Because the suffering is the pain. The physical pain, that's for the moment. The minute you change your focus, the pain goes. You can be in physical pain. We've all done this. Who's had major physical pain and something else gets your total attention? Where's the pain? Gone. And we all get it. And right when we think we don't need it, or we finally arrive, that's the ego. What happens then when you go on that journey? You're in uncertainty, and that's what makes us have to do something new, think something new, come up with a new belief. That's when we reach out and find new mentors, new friends. That's where the journey goes. And then what do? You slay the dragon. And then what do? You come home the hero. And you come home the hero with an experience to share, not thoughts to share. Progress is happiness. You can make progress on anything. You don't have to be there. When you get there, how good do you feel? You feel great for how long? A minute, a month, a year, 6 years, 10 years? Hell no. Most people somewhere between 6 hours and maybe 6 months, usually 6 weeks at that. Because we're called to grow again. And I also want you to know, when you think about your life, if you look at the stages of your life in your 20s, it's a stressful time. It's an exciting time though, because you think you're invincible, right? Because you don't have any idea of age or stage. You know you're going to be president of the United States and a multi-billionaire and have 100 relationships simultaneously, and everybody's going to love it. But then you get to your 30s for that small group in their 30s, and that's usually the most stressful time. 30s to early 40s, mid 40s for some people. And the reason is everyone's different. The racetrack of life is the same. Everyone ages. You got every age, every stage, every kind of value system, everything you can imagine. Because the one common denominator that people come here is when they want to grow. It's because they got pain and they want to get out of it, or they got pleasure and they want a different level more. That's who comes here. 35 to 55 is the stages that most people go through the most expansive growth. And somewhere in that range, people wake up and realize, I got to go for it. Growth and giving. You grow, you conquer the dragons, you got more to share, you got more to give, you're able to give it, and then the next thing comes again. Now you can become the person driving that growth if you consciously decide what you're going to do rather than wait for things to happen. A life without growth is a dead life. Progress equals happiness. So if we go backwards because of our desire for comfort to meeting those basic needs of comfort and certainty, predictability, consistency, then what happens is we shrink instead of grow. And if we do that, it's only a matter of time before another big problem shows up to call us out of that. Where is all your passion? Your passion is in the realm of uncertainty. Quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably live with. Not survive, comfortably live with. Because the more you have to be certain, the more you have to be the same. And nothing in the world is the same. You're not the same, they're not the same, the world's not the same. Any version of the story that you've developed about how things aren't great, they're magnificent, you're living your dream, the growth between 53 and 64 was beyond imagination. Because you don't think you're starting over. When you tell yourself that, you just yourself. You're not starting over. You couldn't possibly start over. You're starting fresh. And what do you have? You have all your life experience to pull from. Now you can do more things with your pinky than when you work 24 hours a day. And so you have to remember that, because otherwise you enter an identity of a broken person or an identity of a wounded soul. And that's horseshit. That's a slap in the face of your creator. You're so much more than that. Everybody in this room is so much more than that. And you clearly are. Or so many people go through cycles. You go at something, you know what you really want to achieve, you know what you really want to go for, you push like crazy, and you achieve it, you experience it, you break through. And then there's a point, usually because you've succeeded, maybe not, where you question, well, is this the right thing? Am I really made for this? Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And then one of two things happens. You either realize how great you have it and you recommit to it, you go for another cycle, 5, 6, 7 years. Those things start to change as time goes by, because people start to have at some stage they start to realize life is not forever, at least in this plane of existence. And then there starts to be scarcity. How do you deal with that scarcity? Does it make you savor more of the moments? To take in the people you love? To be with your children at a different level? People used to tell me when I was, 30, 35, I have a lot of friends, Peter Goober, some of you know, Steve Wynn, people like that, they're 18 years my senior. So I've always looked at them because they've been incredibly successful people, and I've admired and respected them, but I've also wanted to do the same thing you did, Carlos. I want to learn. I want to know the road ahead. And while we're all different, I knew there were certain patterns. But I remember early in my 30s, Peter would tell me things, he's in his 50s, and he's like, Tony, trust me on this. You're in the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of this stuff. And he said, you're going to think when you turn 40 that like, oh my God, it's the end. I said, oh, no, I hear about that midlife crisis bullshit. That'll never happen to me. When I turned 40, I got divorced. My kids were not talking to me because I initiated a divorce. My finances went completely upside down. I've been the best in the world at what I've done. I was very wealthy, and suddenly overnight, I was paying someone else, a woman who used to live with me, a couple $1 million a year before I even ate. I met this young lady, and a couple months later, she's like with me, and we don't have anything. We're having to take care of her. It was brutal. Felt like the whole thing was over at 40. I also felt like I can't go at this pace anymore. I cannot push this hard. But I remember it's like us together, and it was just like, okay, everything else is upside down, but this was so beautiful and solid. And that's what helped me, at least, and us, grow through those stages. I'd say 53, at least for me, early 50s to now, the most growth in my life beyond anything, and the happiest time of my life beyond anything I've ever dreamed of. I'm living my greatest life right now. I'm living beyond whatever I dreamed of right now. I'm living the most amazing life a human could imagine. I'm living a blessed life. Yes, I've done my part, but I'm living a blessed life right now. I don't need another thing in my life. I don't need another victory. I don't need another person to say, wow, thank you, changed my life. I don't need any of that. I love it all. It's all beautiful, but I don't need a damn thing. Everything is magnificent. If you start with everything's magnificent, then everything else is just a game. What are the things that matter most? But they're not life and death anymore. Because when you get to a certain stage, and many of you are there right now, you know what I'm talking about. I could read it in your forms. I could feel it in my experiences talking with you last night. It's like you know who the you are now. There's a stage, you know who you are, and you know what you stand for. And people can take all your things, and they can't take away who you become as a man or as a woman. We've accomplished more, done more, shared more, helped more people, done more things in between it all than I could ever remember doing in any 4-month period of time. And if I wasn't like using my RPM in each week, captured, like at the end of the week, half the shit I can't remember. I have to write it all down, like, oh, the most amazing week I can imagine. Until next week. So I hope one of the things I hope you'll do is put life in perspective, because without perspective, you live here. And it's great to live here in terms of present, but it's also great to step out of the present sometimes and get perspective of where you are on the racetrack of life. And then when you got something like a cancer, of course it'll produce fear and so forth, but it could be the greatest journey of your life.
And that's, I think, the true power of a diagnosis is it wakes you up to this moment. It wakes you up to the miracle. It wakes you up to possibly what you missed the moment before. It isn't just about treating the X, treating the disease. It's actually about remembering and falling in love with living again. That is more profound than you even know.
So as you enter these phases, each of you, different stages of life, first of all, know if you're in that 45 to 65 range, you're in the biggest power of your life, financially, emotionally, physically. If you take care of yourself, it's a call. And the quicker you answer the call, the faster the pain disappears. There's no suffering when you're moving forward. You don't experience life. You only experience the life you focus on. Whatever you focus on, that's what you experience. And it's how we focus. Just realize your state changes the minute you change your focus. Ask you what's magnificant in your life. You answer it sincerely. You write it down. The other thing you just did is you stacked. If you thought one thing was magnificent, it might come in and go out. But if you do another and another and another and another, and all of a sudden your biochemistry changes. That's why you teach the emotional flood. That's basically what you're doing. You make your whole life so stressed, you make it harder to solve. It's all solvable. Everything in the planet that we have a problem with, humans created so humans can solve. And everything that's a problem in your life, you've created by decisions you've made. Oh yeah, but this person took advantage of it. Yeah, but you invited him in your life. Brought him there for a lesson. Get the lesson and move on. Let go of the emotion. But you have to create a compelling future. You can't be living in the past. You learn from the past and move the on and create that future. Everything changes when you're willing to constantly initiate in spite of fear. Decision made from fear. You've heard me say it a million times. It's almost always the wrong decision. Not always. Sometimes fear serves us. Of course, everything has a benefit, but living in fear doesn't. And living in pain and living in shame absolutely doesn't. And now if I looked at your life and said, is there something to be shameful here? I'd say, he's healing his family. He brought together a better life. Wow, I think this guy's probably going to be a better father having gone through all this. So wake the up. You're doing this because you're playing a game of either or. What have you learned in decision making that I teach from the very beginning? Know your outcomes and then have lots of options, because one choice is no choice. Two choices is a dilemma. There's always at least three choices. You may not like them all, but there's always at least three. When you get to three, you'll find 4 or 5. And if you're clear about your outcomes, you can make decisions. But all this goes to shit if you don't understand that all decision making is value clarification. And you can't clarify your values in a state of fear. So stack the good, remember who the you are, and reintegrate. And then hit it directly, go after it. Chase the dragon. Don't hide from the dragon. Chase it, slay it, and take in the energy of who you really are. And each time you do it, you'll remember who you are a bit